Hey, Spice Seekers, it's Spicy Kai. Today, I want to talk to you about a connection between BET, Puff Daddy, and Clive Davis so convoluted that you may need to sit down for this one. But first, it's time to debunk a myth. Forget the solo launch narrative that we've been fed all these years. Clive Davis did not kickstart Arista Records riding solo. He was not the lone captain. Think of him more as a maestro with a dash of ownership on the side. As the head of Arista, Clive held the power to play Sugar Daddy, dishing out $1.5 million, then $10 million, and finally a whopping $55 million to Puffy. Yet, in this tale of corporate symphonies, as a minority owner, Clive was not exempt from the same rules as everyone else. After getting the boot from the record label, he didn't miss a beat in regaining his ground though. With significant financial backing, he birthed J Records and set out on a quest to find the next big boy band, all the while enjoying the free publicity thanks to a reality TV stint. But in a move straight out of Puffy's playbook, the dancing producer swooped in, stealing the limelight from Clive's project, leading to his downfall. His own self-proclaimed mentor.
It's called making the bench, not making the band.
Fast forward to 2023, and Puffy's ambitious attitude toward buying BET sets off a chain reaction, weaving unexpected flavor connections back to the world of BET and, oddly enough, Clive Davis. Now, before we get started, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button for me so you can help kick the algorithms in gear. And if you're new to my channel, smash that subscribe button and tap all notifications so you never miss a spicy beat. Now let's get to the content. After leaving CBS back in 1974, Clive Davis found himself working with Columbia Pictures under Alan Hirschfield's leadership. He swiftly ascended to the role of president at Bell Records. Operating behind the scenes, Clive's real mission was to shake up Columbia's music division. The company took a gamble, pumping $10 million into Clive's brainchild, a new record division unveiled in 1974. Dubbing it Arista, a nod to some snobbish honor society from his high school days in New York City, Clive not only secured a 20% stake in the venture, but also inked a deal with Whitney Houston in 1983. However, financial tremors hit, leading to bankruptcy threats, sell-offs, and a merger. And by 1985, RCA claimed 75% of the company, with BMG holding the remaining 25%. Fast forward to 86, and additional dealings resulted in Bertelsmann Music Group, aka BMG, emerging as Arista's official owner. The lingering question, did Clive still clutch his original 20% share? In 1993, Arista decided to team up with Sean Puffy Combs, cooking up the recipe for Bad Boy Records. Clive, feeling generous, threw $1.5 million in full creative reins Puffy's way, letting him kick off Bad Boy under Arista's wing. What was Clive getting in return? Well, let's just say that my research shows that the rumors amongst the public are the same rumors within the industry. I'm just saying. But here's what I do know. Clive caught wind of a demo Puffy had of Christopher Wallace, the man better known as Notorious B.I.G. or Biggie, who had signed to Bad Boy 2 years prior up under Uptown Records, which was Puffy's former employer. Clive, always with an eye for talent, couldn't resist being part of Biggie's journey. Puffy needed some Skrilla's fast to buy Biggie's tracks from Andre Harrell over at Uptown, and to buy Biggie out of Uptown's contract. So Clive fronted Puffy the cash to do it. But why? In March 1997, the Bad Boy label faced a somber moment as its iconic figure, Biggie, tragically lost his life in the streets of Los Angeles, California. Oh, and just to note, Biggie left this world without securing one piece of his publishing rights. But I digress. Yet and still, later that year, Clive threw another $10 million Puffy's way, snagging all the masters owned by the label as collateral until Puff could pay back the advance. This new deal with Arista was a 50-50 ownership/partnership in Bad Boy. Puffy kept the right to buy back the masters and Arista's stake in his company until 2003. Once again, what was Clive getting out of this deal? The label's hottest artist, the biggest moneymaker, had taken his last breath, and the other artists were leaving right and left. Many questioned the timing even back then. It just didn't make sense that a shrewd businessman would splash cash on a company drowning in chaos, turmoil, and conspiracies. Today, knowing what we know now about Diddy's lifestyle, what do you think? Spice up the comments. Share your thoughts below. In a move that baffles the mind, Clive dished out another $55 million to Puffy in 1998, paving the way for even more Bad Boy Records antics. During this period, our self-proclaimed Little G God not only crafted music, but also gracefully glided his black ass into the mainstream fashion arena, introducing the Sean John men's apparel line. Yipper! That's what he used the advance on, allegedly, instead of building up Bad Boy Entertainment. And in the meantime, Arista still held 50% of Puffy's record kingdom and every single one of his masters and his artist masters in its clutches. And now, Puff needed even more money to buy it all back. By the close of 1999, Bad Boy was unable to dig up the $55 million owed to Arista. It looked like Puffy scraped together what he could and just kept it grinding. But at the end of the day, the true masterminds behind Arista, the bigwigs at BMG, they were downright irritated and pissed off that Clive had fronted Puffy that cash in the first place. They weren't pleased at all about the Bad Boy debt because in their minds, the ghetto-ass music label was more of a liability than they wanted to deal with if he didn't buy it back, and they ended up owning it. Think about it. They didn't want it. At the dawn of the new millennium, BMG showed Clive Davis the door at Arista, citing age restrictions as their parting gift. It wasn't just a farewell. It was a year too old for this dismissal. Clive, the architect of Arista's rise 25 years earlier, found himself out of the president/CEO role. But it wasn't a complete breakup. They handed him a hefty $150 million severance package to launch J Records. The catch? To grab the cash, Clive had to surrender 50% of J Records. Yet magically, the public once again pegged it as Clive's company. That summer, Clive, the industry survivor, signed O-Town, a boy band from the original Making the Band reality show, under his new label, J Records. A fat wad of cash, $150 million to be exact, made for a swift comeback and a new game. Clive was back in business. Had he found a new niche to get him back in the game again? And did he have to give up his 20% ownership in Arista in return? One could only assume. In March 2001, after nearly 2 months in court, Puffy was acquitted on all charges stemming from the December 1999 shooting incident. This put a major dent in his stash, and that 2003 Arista deadline was creeping up really fast. In the meantime, Clive's new boy group is killing it, thanks to the starring role on Making the Band. Clive had done it again. The show provided free promo for Arista as it followed O-Town's performances, tours, and other influential events. This built an audience, a fan base, who watched them transition into J-Town artists. But they had to prove themselves as legit artists thanks to their manager's reputation for developing white popcorn-style boy bands, allegedly. Thanks to the series, though, their first album, O-Town, made its debut at number 5 on the Billboard 200 album chart, selling over 3 million copies. The first single peaked at number 10 on the Hot 100 charts. At the end of that spring, their single All or Nothing was released. It reached number 3 on the Hot 100, sending them on tour to open for the U.S. end of the Britney Spears Dream Without a Dream tour. In early 2002, Combs reached a deal to buy back the 50% stake in Bad Boy from BMG for an estimated $20 to $30 million. Bad Boy had reportedly been losing money, so Arista was relieved to see the degenerate go. Sean John Combs was the one and only owner of Bad Boy, its artist roster, and its back catalog. Or was he? Where did he get the $20 to $30 million from? On June 20th, 2002, after about 9 years with Arista, Puffy and his label parted ways altogether. Once again, to reiterate, he walked away with everything he came with and more. In the meantime, Clive's entire business world took a nosedive. The second iteration of Making the Band started on October 19th, but there were some changes by the fourth season of the show that were definitely not in Clive's favor. His group, O-Town, was out, and Puffy was now hosting the show and acting as the producer. He was searching for his own perfect boy band. In the meantime, O-Town's second album, O2, was released that November under J Records. But they just couldn't get past the NSYNC wannabes persona, allegedly. Plus, they no longer had the highly rated TV show to help boost their image, promote their work, and nurture their fan base. The album flopped. In September 2003, the year Puffy's advance would have been due to DMG had he not found the money early, Diddy signed a deal with Los Angeles, California billionaire Ron Burkle. Ron invested $100 million in the Sean John clothing brand, becoming a partner in the company. Puffy was once again granted full creative control and continued acting as the company's chairman and CEO. That same month, Puffy's new group from Making the Band, appropriately named The Band, released its first album, Too Hot for TV. The first single was Bad Boy This, Bad Boy That. The album went gold, selling 600,000 copies. This put Puffy right where Clive was trying to be, with a successful boy band signed to the label, banking off the backs and promotional pockets of a successful reality TV show. Also that same year, Clive's group, O-Town, the original Making the Band group, officially dismantled. It was a hard hit for the man at this age. After fans watched Diddy single-handedly grind MTV's boy band reality show into the ground, the Making the Band franchise was officially laid to rest on August 10th, 2006. A week before his final farewell, VH1 launched another Puffy-fied reality show called I Want to Work for Diddy. At least VH1 was smart enough not to give the free-spirited boss full creative control. He didn't get to play director or producer on the TV this time, but he was definitely the star of the show. He ultimately chose Suzanne Siegel as his personal executive assistant, and Mick Barber was, and I quote, hired in an undisclosed role. Today, Suzanne's LinkedIn profile lists her position back then as executive assistant to Sean Combs at Bad Boy Entertainment from 2008 to 2009. For the description of the position, she wrote, quote, gatekeeper and assistant to rapper, producer, actor, and fashion designer. Yes, you heard me right. His employee called herself his gatekeeper. By 2008, a series of events occurred that placed Clive Davis at the helm of Arista again. Sony Corporation of America was now the exclusive owner of BMG, which was now rebranded as Sony Music Entertainment. With this change, Clive Davis assumed the role of Chief Creative Officer of Sony Music Entertainment. This expanded his influence across the label's diverse artists. Put that up on the spicy shelf. We shall come back to that. Fast forward to October 21st, 2013, and the world witnessed the launch of Revolt TV. The music-based cable network was founded by Andy Sloan and none other than Puffy himself. According to the founders, Revolt TV is the space for the unapologetic, unauthoritative voice of hip-hop culture, which includes rap and R&B music and social justice news. That same year, after quietly running Sony Music for about 5 years, Clive Davis released his memoir. It was the biggest industry news since that one time when Clive had fronted Puffy $55 million. Why? Well, the man known as Sean Combs and Whitney Houston's mentor came out as bisexual. Some used it as a way to speak on the preferences of his artists. But some of us here on the spicy side of life saw it differently. Clive was getting older and was tired of living his secret life. The IDGAF had kicked in and he was not for the blackmail.
I don't give none of that.
If anybody was planning to hold any download secrets over the head of this man, he was spilling them on his own. And not one alleged bed buddy from the past has come sliding out the bushes on the old man that we know of to tell any of those secrets. Allegedly. The exclusive contract between Bad Boy and Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, finally ended in 2022. Silently. The ex-girlfriend of Puffy had left him and the industry some years earlier. And short of posting about her new simple life on social media, she had been as quiet as a mouse in relation to Puff Dog. Now brace yourself, because 2023 is where things take a wild turn. But here's the deal. This journey is not for the narrow-minded. Keep your mind wide open, because the twists and details about to unfold might just redefine your reality. And when you think about it, the entire thing will definitely remind you of a nice, refreshing looking, wobbly glob of Jell-O pudding. 2023 started out fairly normal for Puffy Puff Dog. He made headlines for his string of prestigious awards, including the Global Icon Award at the 2023 VMAs. And then March brought whispers in the press about Paramount Global's potential sale of the BET Media Group. Although no longer black-owned, the company that once stood for black entertainment television was worth its media weight to the three heavyweight contenders in the race publicly to buy the media package: Tyler Perry, Byron Allen, and Puffy himself. It was being offered as a package deal. The group of networks came with BET, the cable network, BET Plus, the streaming service, BET Studios, the production sector, and VH1, once known as a video music channel. Tyler Perry had paid his dues within the industry and within this media group. He already owned minority shares in the company, and because he had helped launch BET Plus in 2019, a large amount of its content was already being provided by Tyler. BET too. Byron Allen, the most media mogul-like among the trio, allegedly brought a diverse portfolio to the table, including the Weather Channel, Local Now, and Black News Channel, aka The Griot, which is pegged as America's Black TV and online news source. There were two other public contenders, but they didn't necessarily have billions to offer. Then there was Diddy, who was not to be underestimated. He approached the BET Group deal with Revolt TV under his belt. Diddy was on the move to carve out his own space in the television landscape now, and this was right up his alley after stealing the show in the reality TV arena. So you have 5 contenders publicly declaring their interest in the media package, and they were offering billions. And then suddenly, Paramount brought the entire media sensation to a screeching halt. The Wall Street Journal reported that the entity had completely abandoned the idea of selling BET Media Group. Black America had seen this done once before. But before we could make solid connections, the world would enter a roller coaster ride full of diddly-do-wrong twists and turns that still has our heads spinning in 2024. November 2023. That was the month one YouTube psychic predicted an unraveling for Diddy. By July, the events of the year were proving her right every step of the way. Here's the second half of 2023 and how it all unfolded. In July, the same month the BET family and VH1 were taken off the table, the house of Dwayne Davis, aka Keefe D, was raided in Henderson, Nevada. There was no doubt that it was related to the taking out of Tupac Shakur back in September 1996. Rumor had always been that Puffy was involved.
Zip, who knows about Puffy's offer to Keefe, says this is a good time to take care of that thing.
Shit, it was right there. This is a perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with
An August 16th report by the Wall Street Journal spilled the hot chocolate, revealing that Paramount Global dropped its plans to sell a majority stake in its BET media group. The excuse? They claimed a sale wouldn't be a meaningful financial move for them. However, another report hinted that the company ditched the sale process after failing to secure bids that met their standards. The key word here? Standards. The following month, in September, Puffy announced that he was returning the publishing back to its artists, dead and alive. Gene Deal, Mark Curry, and Aubrey O'Day all told the world that the artists had to sign NDAs in exchange for their publishing rights. Mark, Aubrey, and some of the others declined. Later that month, Diddy made a bold call out, literally name-dropping some of the most powerful black folks in the industry, including Byron Allen and Tyler Perry, to unify with him to, quote, really build a black-owned media conglomerate, unquote. In an interview with Billboard, the master multitasker was asked, who's on their way from hip-hop's next generation? He named 3 artists. 1, he gave props to the late, great Ermias Ashadome, aka Nipsey Hussle, referring to the Los Angeles rapper and up-and-coming real estate genius as the young Puff version of himself. 2, he included performer Jockkeys I Don't Care, Webster II, aka Travis Scott, saying he could relate to how he diversifies his portfolio. And lastly, he named Carisha Brownlee, his girlfriend, allegedly, aka Young Miami from the group The City Girls, stating, she reminds me of Oprah with the endless possibilities that she has as far as her clothing line, television shows, performances, and live podcasts. That same month, Young Miami, who hosts a podcast called Carisha Please on Revolt TV, Puffy's network, announced her plans for her own reality show during an interview at the MTV Video Music Awards. I bet the MTV bigwigs are still kicking themselves in the balls for letting a dancing clown ruin their thriving boy band show. But I digress. In the meantime, Keefe D is officially arrested, live, and in real time, in connection with the 1996 shooting that took Tupac Shakur from the world. The public watched, with many of us knowing that this Southside Compton Crips prior statements implicate Sean Puffy Combs.
Zip, who knows about Puffy's offer to Keefe, says this is a good time to take care of that thing.
Shit, it was right there. This is a perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with Zip offers Keefe D the .40 caliber Glock that he has stashed in his Mercedes out in the parking lot.
Come October, social media found itself ablaze when Young Miami's Carisha Please podcast won a BET Hip Hop Award, bidding out top-performing, long-standing platforms like $1 Million Worth of Game and Drink Champs. Now being called an industry plant, Carisha defended her podcast. So did Diddy. By November, the accolades continued when the 2024 Grammy nominees were announced. The man now legally known as Sean Love Combs had snagged a nomination for lead artist in the R&B album category for his latest release, the Love album, Off the Grid. The things we need to be questioning. Who the hell bought that album? But anyway, imagine how he must have felt. This was his first nomination in 26 years, and for his solo work at that. However, just 4 days later, on November 17th, the shit hit the fan. Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, filed a lawsuit against Sean Puffy Combs so cold the entire hip-hop planet shook. She was asking for $30 million, and the details of the case, which she and her attorney knew would go public, were astonishing. The following day, on the 18th, the suit was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. The press reported it as being settled in record time. However, common sense and receipts show the negotiations had been going on for at least a couple of years. It was already understood that the suit would be settled, and for some reason, some entities with power, had also already decided that the information would still be put on record with the courts and it would still go public. The question was, why? Regardless, multiple other lawsuits followed. On December 19th, Byron Allen made Paramount an offer for $3.5 billion for BET Media via email. However, the very next day, Bloomberg News reported that Paramount Global was in talks to sell BET Network to an investor group. The potential buyers included BET Chief Executive Officer Scott Mills, an African-American man who was groomed by the original CEO and co-founder of BET, and some other non-black exec with no connection to the culture whatsoever. They were in talks to buy it for less than $2 billion, allegedly. The following day, on the 21st, the press announced that Young Miami would make her reality show debut in 2024 on the network. Drum roll, please. You guessed it. B-E-T. 2 days later, former rapper and bad boy artist Travell Coleman, aka G. Depp, was granted clemency for a 1993 life snatching. Authorities say that after 17 years of being scot-free, Travell couldn't take the guilt anymore. After years of drug use and reckless living, he turned himself in for the crime in 2010. Coincidence? I mean, what else significant happened involving Bad Boy way back in 1993? As of this spicy news report, Sunday, January 7th, 2024, Puffy's invite to the Grammys, an award show where Clive Davis has always been the big dog, is being evaluated, thanks to the allegations in the lawsuits. Hulu permanently scrapped his reality TV show that was set to follow him and his kids called Diddy Plus 7. Puffy was forced to step down as a head dog at Revolt TV for the integrity of the brand. World-famous private jet card-carrying mega celebrity pastor T.D. Jakes has gone viral for images showing him partying with P. Diddy. A Nevada state judge ruled that the infamous Keefy D will stand trial in Las Vegas starting June 3rd, 2024. BET is in talks with hand-picked players, with the only black player being a man who worked directly under the network's original co-owner, being groomed in business by the first CEO of BET himself. Young Miami is leaving Revolt and heading over to BET this year to launch her own talk show. Clive Davis has come full circle, coming out as bisexual and ending up back at Arista, which has now been absorbed by Sony. He's now the chief creative officer at Sony Music, the global mega company that also now owns, take a wild guess, drum roll please, Bad Boy Entertainment. Cassie is now buku rich thanks to a presumably multi-million-dollar settlement from Sean Love Combs, a man who has a proven track record of essentially running Ponzi schemes to keep his businesses afloat. So when she named Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, and Sony in the lawsuit, it was obvious who would be on the hook for the cash. Now here are my questions, Spice Seekers. Number 1, when did Sony get its hands on the ownership of Bad Boy, and how? I already have the answer to that. But Lord, some more spicy twists and turns right there. Number 2, do you wonder how shocked Puffy was when he realized that the man he'd taken the reality show from, Clive Davis, was now in control of his brand? Number 3, is it just a coincidence that the shit hit the fan when the dude tried to buy BET and now Young Miami is headed over to BET? And number 4, do you remember what happened to the last famous black guy with skeletons in his closet who tried to buy a major television station? Anyway, what about this Cassie lawsuit? Let's dig a little deeper into that shit right there. Who do you think advised or guided Cassie initially? And please don't say her adoring husband. Common sense says this shiznit is way bigger than that. It took much more than love to give her the balls she needed to chew on this hot ass pepper. Was her contract with Bad Boy already set to expire in 2022? Or did something happen to end it before it was officially fulfilled? Did she discover the New York statute and independently pursue legal action against Puffy and Bad Boy and Sony? And just look up with the lawyer she ended up with? Or did somebody powerful contact her and give her the financial support and physical protection she needed to stick it to Combs? How did she connect with such a high-profile attorney to represent her? Where did she find the funds or connections to secure even a consultation with this man? And who was protecting Cassie during the negotiations before the lawsuit officially reached the courts and the media? Well, Spice Seekers, it's been a long research ride, and all I can say is that if you believe in coincidences, you're on the wrong channel. Personally, I question everything. What about you? Leave your seasoned thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like the video to kick the algorithms in gear for me. And if you're new, go ahead and subscribe and tap all notifications so you never miss a hot ass beat. Spicy out.